What up? It's your boy Wall Street. Hit my line. Back again to hit your line. And today, I've been inspired to talk about this subject because as I was watching the TNT crew of Shaq, Kenny, Ernie, and Charles talking about the All-Star snubs the other night after the reserves were announced, Charles Barkley made a comment saying that Scottie Barnes is the most underrated player in the NBA. And while I don't necessarily disagree that Scottie Barnes is underrated, I do not think that he is the most underrated player in the league. But I think a player that has a very similar play style to Scottie, but is much more expanded on that play style, I think that player is the most underrated player in the league. And that player that I'm talking about is Domantas Sabonis, who is absolutely, in my mind, without a doubt, the most underrated player in the NBA. Because let me just tell you guys. So Sabonis was not named an All-Star, and he is averaging 20.9 points per game, 6.6 assists, and 14.5 rebounds per game, which is leading the league. Not to mention, he is shooting 48.1% from three-point range, and he's taking only like 2.5 a game. But that is the second best three-point percentage in the league behind Luke Kennard of the Memphis Grizzlies. That's impeccable. Like, I don't know how, if I had just said those stats, everybody who's listening right now would have said, yeah, that guy's an all-star. Well, guess what? Was named an all-star. Pretty ridiculous. But again, there might be some injuries to some of the guys that were named all-stars, so Sabonis might find his way into the game after all. But just to expand on this, last year, Sabonis finished 8th in MVP voting and was a member of the All-NBA third team. And he averaged 19.4 points per game, 8.2 assists, and 13.7 rebounds per game, while still shooting a good percentage from three, 38%. Not nearly as good as the rate that he's shooting this season, but, and shot 59% from the field. How is that not an all-star? How is that not an all-star? And I get it, the Kings weren't as good last year, right? But they still had an above 500 record, still made it into the play-in, did not make the playoffs. But based on the regular season, that guy should be an all-star. So he is consistently getting snubbed. And again, I do agree with Charles that Scottie Barnes is very underrated, but I think Scottie Barnes should only hope that he can be as productive as Sabonis is one day, right? Like Scottie Barnes, just for, so we can compare these two clearly, is averaging 20.3 points per game. He's averaging 8.1 rebounds and 6.5 assists per game. So that's a very well diversified stat line. He's producing in a lot of different categories and doing everything he needs to do for his team to win. Although the Raptors are not winning. They're not very good. But Scottie Barnes is definitely a very, very good player and is going to be a very good player in this league eventually. And he is a great player right now, but he's not at that all-star or superstar level yet, in my opinion. But he was named an all-star last year. He was named an all-star as an injured reserve for, I can't remember who it was, but there was like 3 guys, I think, last year that couldn't play in the game. So Scottie wound up getting a spot. But Domantas Sabonis has to be the guy for me. Like, it's just, I can't think of any other players in the NBA that don't get the level of, he just doesn't get enough credit for how good he is. Like, he's honestly a similar player to Jokic, which I think I've said before on this channel, in that they do everything. They do absolutely everything, and they make the game look fairly effortless. So Scottie Barnes also does that, but Scottie Barnes is not necessarily he's not at Sabonis's level yet. And that's not saying that he won't get there. He's just not there yet. And I do think Scottie Barnes is going to be a 25 and 10 type of guy someday, but he's not at that point yet. But I was also looking into what some other people have said about most underrated player in the league, but a lot of them aren't even on the level of Scottie Barnes and Sabonis. They're saying Aaron Wiggins, Ayo Dosunmu, which I agree these guys are underrated, but it's because they haven't really been able to reach their full potential yet. And they haven't really been given like tons of minutes. They haven't been given like, the keys to the arena, essentially, where it's like you can do whatever you want. You can get as many points as you want. You can get as many shots as you want, running the offense through you. It's just those guys don't have that yet. Scotty and Sabonis have that. And despite having that and producing with that type of freedom on the court, they're still heavily underrated. So not to say that there's not other underrated players and players that, have tons of potential. Like, I've said it before, like Amen Thompson and Asar Thompson, those guys have tons of potential, but I wouldn't necessarily call them underrated because they really haven't had their day in court yet, so to speak, right? Of like, this is why I should be rated higher. Amen is getting that now, where he's definitely got a lot of hype building around his name. But Sabonis and Sky Barnes have proven why they should be, treated as if they're all-stars and why they deserve that recognition. And people still kind of just like scoff at it and slough it off. And I don't really get it. So Sabonis to me is definitely the most underrated player in the league. Probably one of the most underrated players I've seen in my lifetime, frankly. So Scotty as well probably is number 2 to Sabonis in my opinion. But I want to know what you guys think. Who do you think the most underrated player in the NBA today is? Please leave some comments down below. Would love to know what you think, and would love to chime in on what players you think are not rated appropriately in the league today. So without further ado, though, I'm going to let you guys go. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate you doing both of those things. Helps me, helps YouTube know what you like, and they'll keep pushing it your way so we can all be happy. You feel me? But I'm going to let you guys go. Take it easy. Take care. Have some fun. Handle your business and stand on business. Peace.